lies a story of transition, evolution, and hidden value. The Washington quarter, introduced in 1932 to honor the bicentennial of George Washington's birth, had already become a staple of American coinage, and yet by 1984 it was going through subtle shifts that carried immense historical and collectible significance. When examining the 1984 quarter, we start at the United States Mint, which was then producing coins at three major facilities: the Philadelphia Mint, the Denver Mint, and the San Francisco Mint. Each of these played a role in creating quarters that have since become fascinating items for collectors across the nation and beyond. Let us first understand the basic specifications of the coin struck in 1984. The Washington quarter weighed 567 grams, had a diameter of 243 millimeters, and was composed of a copper core clad with a layer of nickel. The obverse featured the classic portrait of George Washington, designed by sculptor John Flanagan, a design that had remained largely unchanged for decades. Washington's profile faces left, the word "Liberty" crowns the top of the coin, while the national motto, "In God We Trust," is stamped boldly to the left of his profile. The date 1984 appears at the bottom. The reverse of the coin continues with the heraldic eagle, with outspread wings gripping a bundle of arrows with two olive branches below the eagle. This design, also by Flanagan, symbolized American strength and peace and was a patriotic statement that echoed through generations. The inscription, "United States of America," spans the top with a pluribus unum beneath it, and the denomination quarter dollar sits clearly at the bottom. This design was used on all regular issue quarters until the late 1990s, when the State Quarters series began to replace it. To fully understand the history of the 1984 quarter, we must consider its production numbers and mint marks. Quarters struck in Philadelphia bore no mint mark and saw a mintage of over 676 million coins. Quarters from the Denver Mint carried a small d and accounted for over 546 million coins, while those from the San Francisco Mint bore the S mark and were struck primarily for collectors in proof sets. These proof coins were meticulously crafted with sharp detail and mirror-like surfaces, making them favorites for coin enthusiasts. Despite such high mintage figures, the 1984 Washington quarter holds special interest due to several varieties and errors that have emerged over the decades. Among the most famous is the 1984 P double die obverse. In this variety, collectors have identified clear doubling in the word "Liberty" and "In God We Trust," particularly visible under magnification. This type of doubling occurs when the die strikes the plancher twice in slightly different positions, causing the letters to appear doubled. This error is not only a fascinating piece of minting history, but also a highly desirable collectible, with well-preserved specimens fetching significant premiums at auctions and coin shows. Another significant area of interest for the 1984 quarter lies in condition and grading uncirculated coins, especially those graded MS-65 or higher by professional services like PCGS or NGC Command, much higher values than circulated counterparts. A pristine 1984D or 1984P quarter in high mint state condition can sell for far more than face value, especially if it exhibits strong luster, no contact marks, and sharp strike details. Collectors also seek coins with full drum lines on the eagle tail feathers, and a strong presence of the mint luster, which can help determine whether a coin has seen circulation. Now, stepping into the world of proof coins, the 1984 S proof quarter was part of the official proof set offered by the U.S. Mint that year, made specifically for collectors. These coins were struck multiple times using specially prepared dies, resulting in sharper features and reflective fields. They came sealed in official U.S. Mint packaging and are highly collectible today, with many examples graded PR67 and above. Although they were not intended for circulation, they tell the story of the care and craftsmanship that went into producing coins for the collector market. Interestingly, the 1984 quarter falls in a transitional period between traditional coinage and the era of modern collectible series. This means that while it does not bear a flashy reverse design like state quarters, it serves as a final chapter in a long era of classic American design. Its historical context includes the tail end of the Cold War, the rise of Reagan-era economic policies and cultural transformations across the United States. Holding a 1984 quarter is like holding a piece of that moment in history captured forever in copper and nickel. Over the years, many collectors have stumbled upon 1984 quarters in change jars or coin rolls without realizing that some of these coins could hold significant value, not only monetarily but as part of the broader story of American minting. The quarter has always been a workhorse coin, seeing widespread use in vending machines, parking meters, toll booths, and everyday transactions. And yet within this routine usage lies the chance discovery of a valuable error coin or high-grade example. When evaluating whether a 1984 quarter has collectible value, experts recommend first checking for visible errors, then examining the overall condition under good lighting, using a magnifying lens for fine detail. Those that appear promising should be submitted to a professional grading service, which can authenticate and assign a grade to the coin. Once encapsulated, these coins can be sold at premium prices to collectors who seek to complete full mint sets or error collections. It is also worth noting the role of coin roll hunting in discovering rare 1984 quarters. Hobbyists often search through bank rolls of quarters, hoping to uncover high-quality coins or rare varieties. This method has become increasingly popular thanks to social media and YouTube channels that showcase amazing finds, including rare 1984 quarters found in circulation collectors, report finding double-die varieties off center strikes, broad strikes, and coins with retained lamination errors or struck through debris, all of which enhance the coin's value and intrigue. In recent auctions, some 1984 quarters, particularly those with errors or exceptionally high grades, have fetched hundreds of dollars and in some rare cases over $1,000, proving that this coin, while common in number, holds hidden gems for those who know what to look for. Beyond the monetary value lies the historical journey each coin tells, from its creation at the mint to decades in pockets, drawers, and collections, and finally into the hands of those who appreciate their legacy. For new collectors, the 1984 quarter offers a great starting point. It is affordable, accessible, and rich in variety, with countless resources available to guide the search. Numismatic forums, websites, and videos provide endless hours of exploration and education, allowing anyone to become part of the coin collecting community with dedication and attention to detail. Anyone can uncover the mysteries that lie within coins, as simple as a Washington quarter from 1984. Thus, the story of the 1984 Washington quarter is not just about a coin. It is about history, art production errors, mystery, and passion, from the skilled engravers at the U.S. Mint to the collector holding it. Decades later, the coin has traveled across time and geography, carrying silent tales of trade, history, design, and discovery. It is a gateway into the vast and intricate world of numismatics, where each coin is more than currency. It is a story in your hand waiting to be told. If you have a 1984 quarter in your collection or pocket, now might be the time to look at it again carefully, for it may not just be change. It might be a chapter of American history with hidden value and unspoken legacy waiting to be uncovered by you. The story of the 1989 Washington quarter begins long before the coin was struck in the presses of Philadelphia and Denver in the final years of the Reagan presidency. When the United States was undergoing massive political, cultural, and economic transformations, the quarter itself continued to bear the portrait of George Washington, first introduced in 1932 to commemorate the bicentennial of his birth. Yet by 1989, the Washington quarter had become more than a simple piece of currency. It had evolved into a symbol of national pride, a testament to tradition, and a quiet messenger of the subtle changes shaping the nation. The Philadelphia Mint produced over 512 million quarters in 1989, while the Denver Mint struck nearly 896 million. Combined, the total mintage exceeded 14 billion pieces, making it one of the higher output years for the Washington Quarter. But what truly makes this year unique is not just the high mintage or the familiar reverse showing the heraldic eagle with outstretched wings. It is the context, the technical developments, the transition of minting standards, the anomalies, the collector-grade strikes, and the emergence of significant varieties that keep the 1989 quarter relevant in the world of numismatics. At a time when coinage quality was under scrutiny, the 1989 quarter stood at a crossroads between the old methods and modern minting innovations. The United States Mint was refining its machinery, updating its quality control processes, and subtly preparing for the decade to come, which would introduce radical changes in coin designs, metal compositions, and production goals. Yet through all this, the Washington Quarter remained largely unchanged outwardly. Its face was the same. But keen observers began noticing differences, small differences in strike clarity, edge reading, planche luster, and die wear. Die varieties and mint errors from 1989 are especially important to collectors. Among the most significant are off-center strikes, double die obverses, clipped planches, and die cracks. Each error tells a unique story about the production process, its flaws, and how even with advanced technology, precision was not always guaranteed. The Denver Mint in particular showed examples of machine doubling and die fatigue in its later die states, leading to coins that appear slightly blurred or misaligned when examined under magnification. Beyond physical errors, there are philosophical elements to this coin that elevate its value for historians and collectors alike. The Washington Quarter series by 1989 had run for 57 years with no major redesigns. Despite calls for modernization in the coinage, the quarter resisted change. It was a numismatic constant in an era of flux, a bridge between generations, and circulating tribute to the founding father of the United States. Every quarter carried in every pocket or drawer echoed this heritage. The composition of the 1989 quarter was still the cupra-nickel clad format adopted in 1965, following the silver crisis and the end of silver coinage in circulation. These quarters featured an outer layer of 75% copper and 25% nickel bonded to a core of pure copper. Although no silver content remained, collectors still pursued the finest examples in uncirculated and proof condition, especially those preserved in original government packaging or discovered in mint sets and rolls that had escaped handling and environmental damage. One must not forget the proof versions struck at the San Francisco Mint. These coins bearing the S mint mark were not meant for general circulation, but rather created for collectors using polished dies and specially treated blanks to create a mirrored finish and sharp details. The 1989 S-proof quarter is a thing of beauty when preserved well with frosted design elements, and a mirror-like field-proof coins from this year are sought after for their craftsmanship and aesthetic precision. And even though they are more common than earlier proofs, their market remains strong for examples with deep cameo contrast and no visible imperfections. Market value for the 1989 Washington Quarter depends heavily on condition mint mark and errors in circulated grades. The coin holds face value only, but in mint state condition, particularly MS66 and above it, begins to draw attention among grading services. PCGs and NGC have certified thousands of 1989 quarters, but only a tiny fraction earn grades of MS67 or higher due to subtle contact marks, weak strikes, or loss of luster. Coins with such high grades command premiums, often exceeding hundreds of dollars in auction or private sale settings, and for those rare few with dramatic mint errors or pristine proof-like surfaces, the prices soar even higher. Collectors often seek full strike coins with strong details on Washington's hair, eagle feathers, and lettering. A full strike ensures that the coin was made with a fresh die and proper pressure, and these elements add value beyond basic Grading standards, eye appeal remains king in numismatics, and the 1989 quarter is no exception. Some collectors chase so-called toner coins, those with natural rainbow coloration due to chemical reaction or storage environment, while others prefer blast white coins with untouched brilliance. The Washington Quarter series was eventually redesigned with the launch of the State Quarters program in 1999 and the State Quarters program in 1999, and in hindsight, the coins of the late 1980s, like the 1989 edition, now serve as the final chapter of a classic era that began in the early 20th century and ended just before the new millennium. The 1989 quarter is not rare in numbers, but it is historically rare in what it represents: a quiet end to a long-running design, a final breath before the storm of change, and the last steady beat before the explosion, of variety that would define 21st century American coinage. The study of any coin must also reflect the era in which it was created, and 1989 was a year of transitions across the United States. The Berlin Wall had not yet fallen, but tensions were shifting. The Cold War was nearing its end. Computers were beginning to move into homes, and the economy was growing, but showing signs of inflation. The coin you held in your hand in 1989 could have passed through gas stations, diners, arcades, and parking meters each quarter, serving as a silent witness to American daily life. The coin was not just a medium of exchange, it was a participant in the American story. When you hold a 1989 Washington quarter, you hold more than a piece of metal. You hold a symbol of the mint's tradition, a relic from the last days of an old design, and a potential hidden treasure. If you are lucky enough to find the right die variety, or the rare high-grade example buried in a roll of ordinary pocket change, you are not just finding money, you are finding a story waiting to be told. A forgotten gem that may yet rise in value and importance in the eyes of future collectors. This is why coin collectors, researchers, historians, and even casual enthusiasts continue to study the 1989 Washington quarter. The more you look, the more you discover, from die diagnostics to mintage patterns, from mint errors to market trends, from aesthetic appreciation to historical relevance. This humble coin offers more than meets the eye. Its beauty lies not just in its design, but in its depth, its story, and its enduring place in the legacy of United States coinage. So as you continue your journey through American coins, never overlook the 1989 Washington quarter. It may not be the oldest or the rarest, but in the right hands and with the right knowledge, it could be the key that opens the door to a deeper understanding of numismatics, American history, and the power of small things to carry great meaning. Year was 1991, and the United States Mint continued its long-running production of the iconic Washington quarter, a coin that had become a mainstay in the pockets of millions across the nation. The Washington quarter, first introduced in 1932 as a one-year commemorative issue to honor the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth, had proven so popular that it became a permanent fixture in American coinage. The 1991 edition sits at an interesting crossroads in the series, history bridging the classic pre-state quarter era and the modern age of coin collecting. Enthusiasts often overlook this year, considering it common, but those who know the intricate details understand its subtle nuances and what makes it worth a deeper look. To understand the 1991 Washington quarter, we must first revisit the origins of the design sculptor John Flanagan. Won the original competition in 1931, his design, featuring a left-facing portrait of George Washington, was chosen over other submissions because it balanced a stately look with a practical, striking surface. The obverse showed the bust with the word Liberty above the date below and the national motto, "In God We Trust," to the left of Washington's neck. The reverse design depicted an American bald eagle perched with outspread wings, clutching a bundle of arrows with olive branches beneath, symbolizing the nation's readiness to defend peace. For decades, this design remained virtually unchanged, a testament to the enduring respect for Washington's legacy. But the passage of time brought subtle shifts in minting techniques and die wear. By the 1990s, the mint was producing millions of quarters each year, with varying levels of strike quality and planche consistency. The Philadelphia Mint struck the majority of 1991 quarters, but the Denver Mint also produced its fair share. Each mint mark tells a story of its own, and for collectors, identifying these small letters can mean the difference between a circulated common piece and a rare variety worth many times face value. The 1991 P quarter minted in Philadelphia lacks a mint mark, as was standard practice until 1980 when the Philadelphia Mint began using the P mark for other denominations, but continued to strike quarters without it for years thereafter. Meanwhile, the 1991 D quarter carries the Denver Mint mark located on the obverse to the right of Washington's ponytail. These subtle letters hold immense significance to numismatists, who track mint output, strike variations, and even errors that slip through quality control. Minting errors on 1991 quarters add an extra layer of intrigue. Some quarters display off-center strikes resulting from misaligned dies that cause part of the design to appear shifted or partially missing. Other examples include doubled dies, where the design elements appear duplicated due to misregistration during the hubbing process. These errors are rare, but when discovered, they generate excitement among collectors who know that such anomalies often fetch high premiums at auction. One notable example is the double die obverse, where elements like Liberty or the date may show clear doubling under magnification. Such coins are highly sought after by specialists. Beyond errors, there is also the phenomenon of die varieties over the course of the year. Dies wear down and are often replaced at varying intervals. This creates slight differences in the reliefs or placement of design elements. Collectors hunt for these varieties, cataloging each subtle deviation and comparing them against standard reference guides. The difference might be as minor as a stronger strike in the hair details or a sharper feather pattern on the eagle. But to a trained eye, these traits can separate a common pocket find from a collector-grade treasure. While many 1991 quarters remain in circulation in worn condition, finding one in pristine, uncirculated state is becoming increasingly difficult. Coins graded MS65 or higher by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC command much higher prices than their circulated counterparts. Coin roll hunters still dream of stumbling across a gem buried among everyday change, but the odds grow slimmer. With each passing year, the rise of the internet and online marketplaces has fueled greater awareness of these values, leading more people to check their change and submit coins for grading. An interesting aspect of the 1991 quarter story is its place within the broader context of the Washington Quarter series. By 1991, the design had already surpassed its original commemorative intent by nearly 6 decades. Its longevity reflected not only the reverence for George Washington, but also the inertia of tradition within the U.S. Mint. Yet change was on the horizon. The State Quarters program would debut in 1999, transforming the reverse design into a rotating canvas that celebrated each state in the Union. This shift revitalized public interest in coin collecting, sparking a modern boom. But in 1991, such a future was merely a glimmer in the minds of mint officials and numismatists. The 1991 Washington Quarter thus represents the final decade of a classic era. Each coin from this period serves as a time capsule, a tangible link to a time before the explosion of commemorative reverse designs, proofs, and special issues. Speaking of proofs, the San Francisco Mint continued its tradition of striking proof sets for collectors in 1991. These proof quarters display a mirror-like finish and frosted design elements achieved through special dies and highly polished planches. Although millions were minted, their appeal remains strong because of their unmatched quality and presentation. In official mint packaging, collectors often seek complete proof sets as they provide a snapshot of circulating coinage in its most pristine form. It is also worth mentioning the cultural context of 1991, as it was a year of significant change in America. The Gulf War had just concluded, the economy was navigating a recession, and technological advancements like the early internet were beginning to reshape society in small yet profound ways. Coins minted during this time carry a subtle historical resonance. They were exchanged in everyday transactions for gas, groceries, and payphones, reminders of a pre-digital cash economy. For the numismatist, each 1991 quarter embodies layers of meaning: the practical function of commerce, the artistry of American engraving, and the chance for discovery, whether through error coins, high-grade examples, or sentimental attachment. This everyday piece of metal becomes something more, a bridge between past and present. To build a meaningful collection of 1991 quarters, a collector should pay attention to several key factors. Condition is paramount, as even a slight nick or abrasion can drop a coin's value significantly. Looking for coins with full strike details, especially in the hair curls on Washington's head or the feather tips of the eagle, can make a big difference. Examining the rims for full reading and the fields for marks or discoloration helps ensure quality coins stand out. Assembling sets with both P and D mint marks, along with a proof example from San Francisco, gives a well-rounded representation of the year's mintage. Collectors may also consider researching population reports from grading companies to understand rarity within the grade spectrum. Some high mint state grades might have surprisingly low populations, adding to their desirability. Likewise, following auction results can reveal current market trends and highlight standout pieces that break previous price records. Staying informed keeps the collector ready to recognize opportunity, whether at a coin show, an online listing, or hidden in plain sight within a coin jar. Ultimately, the 1991 Washington quarter is not just a quarter. It is a testament to the enduring legacy of American coinage, the subtle beauty of design, the fascinating world of minting technology, and the thrill of the hunt for the rare and unusual. It stands at a crossroads of history, a quiet witness to everyday life, and a hidden gem waiting to be discovered by those who know where to look. Whether you are a seasoned numismatist or a curious newcomer, this coin invites you to dive deeper, to appreciate the stories etched in its metal, and to cherish the journey of collecting one quarter at a time. The next time you find a 1991 quarter in your pocket, take a moment to hold it up to the light. Trace the familiar outline of Washington's profile, feel the tiny ridges along its edge, and remember that sometimes the smallest things carry the greatest stories within them. And so the legacy of the 1991 Washington quarter lives on in albums, folders, safety deposit boxes, and the memories of those who value the humble yet extraordinary power of American coinage, as long as collectors remain vigilant, curious, and passionate. This little coin will continue to tell its story for generations to come. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the history of the 1991 Washington quarter, stay tuned for more rare coin stories, minting secrets, and collector insights that keep the spirit of numismatics alive, because every coin has a story, and yours might just be the next to change everything. 1973 quarter might be worth far more than 25 cents, and why its journey through American pockets is a reflection of a nation's past. The Washington quarter has stood as a symbol of American coinage since its introduction in 1932, and the 1973 Washington quarter holds a unique place in this lineage, representing a chapter in the long story of American numismatics that ties together the legacy of George Washington, the father of our nation, the mint's evolving production techniques, and the economic realities of the time. The design of the Washington quarter originated to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth, when the United States Commission of Fine Arts conducted a competition to select a new design artist. John Flanagan's depiction of Washington's profile was ultimately chosen, and it has endured through decades with only slight modifications. And the year 1973 arrived during a period when the United States Mint continued to produce circulating coinage primarily from the Philadelphia and Denver mints, while proof coins came from the San Francisco Mint. The story behind the 1973 quarter begins with the historical backdrop of the early 1970s, when the American economy faced challenges such as inflation, an energy crisis, and a changing landscape of commerce. During this period, the demand for coins remained steady, driven by the expanding population and the need for coins for everyday transactions. The Mint produced millions of Washington quarters in 1973, with the Philadelphia Mint striking over 374 million pieces, and the Denver Mint contributing another 232 million coins. The San Francisco Mint produced proof coins struck with specially polished dies to meet the needs of collectors. These proof coins were not meant for circulation, and they remain a sought-after variety among numismatists. Today, examining the physical characteristics of the 1973 Washington quarter, one finds the enduring design featuring Washington's left-facing bust with the word Liberty inscribed above, and the national motto, "In God We Trust," to the left, with the date 1973 positioned at the base. On the reverse, the heraldic eagle with outstretched wings clutches a bundle of arrows with olive branches beneath, symbolizing America's commitment to both strength and peace. The word United States of America arches above, with E pluribus unum just below, and quarter dollar at the bottom. The coins from this year were struck on clad planchets composed of an outer layer of 75% copper and 25% nickel bonded to a core of pure copper. This clad composition replaced the 90% silver content that quarters contained. Until 1964, a decision driven by rising silver prices and the need to prevent coin hoarding. The absence of silver content in the 1973 quarter makes its intrinsic metal value relatively low. Yet certain mint errors and well-preserved examples can hold significant value in the collector's market. To understand the historical significance of this coin, we must look at the broader numismatic context of the era. The early 1970s were a time when the hobby of coin collecting was flourishing, buoyed by a growing interest among the American public and an increased awareness of the value that rare and well-struck coins could command. Coin shows, publications, and local clubs expanded, bringing together enthusiasts eager to trade and discuss their finds for collectors. Today, the 1973 Washington quarter represents both a common date for circulated examples and a potentially valuable piece when it comes in exceptional condition with a high grade assigned by professional grading services. Coins that display full details, particularly the elusive full drum lines or strong strikes, can command a premium on the market. Further enhancing their desirability are varieties and errors which serve as highlights for collectors hunting for that one coin that stands out from millions among the known varieties some collectors seek. Doubled die obverses or reverses where design elements appear. Doubled due to slight misalignments during the striking process, while not every error commands a high price. Some dramatic examples have fetched impressive sums at auction. One must also consider the role of the San Francisco proof coins, which were issued as part of annual proof sets intended for collectors. These proof coins exhibit a mirror-like finish and sharp details, making them appealing for display or investment. The mintage of proof coins in 1973 was nearly 3 million, a relatively modest number, when compared to the hundreds of millions of circulation strikes, while most of these proof coins remain with their original sets. Over time, some have been separated and graded individually, commanding prices based on their condition and certification. Numismatists study the die varieties, planchet issues, and strike qualities of the 1973 quarters to determine which examples stand out. These subtle distinctions can transform an ordinary quarter into a prized possession. Among the stories that enrich the history of the Washington quarter are those of the everyday people who come across these coins in pocket change, unaware that a tiny difference or minting flaw could hold remarkable value. Stories of lucky finds persist within the hobby, such as someone spotting an uncirculated quarter in a roll or receiving a proof coin in circulation by mistake. The allure of the Washington quarter lies in its accessibility and the possibility that even the most common-looking coin can carry secrets for a keen-eyed collector. One must appreciate how the Washington quarter also mirrors the changing technologies at the United States Mint, as advancements in minting machinery, quality control, and die production continued to evolve in the 1970s. The Mint balanced high-volume output with the desire to maintain design integrity and detail the planchets used for clad coinage were precision manufactured. Yet variations inevitably occurred, leading to off-center strikes, clipped planchets, and other mint errors that collectors eagerly seek in their searches beyond the physical coin. The historical context of 1973 adds layers to its story. That year witnessed political upheavals, economic shifts, and cultural moments that resonate with those who lived through it. President Richard Nixon's administration faced mounting challenges, including the Watergate scandal, which would eventually reshape American politics. The economy contended with the ripple effects of the oil embargo and the early signs of stagflation, all while the everyday citizen continued to rely on coins like the Washington quarter for daily transactions. Vending machines, payphones, parking meters, and countless purchases depended on this small piece of metal. Each coin silently passed through countless hands, bearing witness to the fabric of American life, from the pockets of factory workers to the cash registers of small-town diners. The journey of the 1973 quarter is a reminder that coins are more than metal. They are artifacts of our shared history. The collector who holds a well-preserved 1973 quarter in their hand holds more than just a monetary unit. They hold a piece of the American narrative, a reflection of an era marked by transition, challenge, and the enduring symbols that bind generations. The legacy of George Washington himself looms large over this series, as the face on the quarter embodies ideals of leadership, integrity, and the foundational story of the nation. The decision to place Washington's likeness on the quarter was intended not just as an artistic choice, but as a statement of values that the United States would commemorate and preserve through its everyday currency. Today, the hobby of coin collecting continues to grow, with enthusiasts studying population reports, auction results, and grading trends for the Washington quarter. The community of collectors exchanges knowledge through forums, online groups, and coin shows where coins like the 1973 Washington quarter are examined under magnification, discussed in detail, and appreciated for their place in the vast timeline of American numismatics. Whether tucked away in a coin folder, displayed in a slabbed holder, or simply carried in a pocket for good luck, the 1973 quarter remains a bridge between the past and the present, encouraging new generations to discover the stories hidden in the change that jingles in our pockets as we draw this journey through the history of the Washington quarter, 1973, to a close. One thing becomes clear: this coin is not just a denomination. It is a testament to America's enduring spirit, its evolving economy, and the timeless fascination we hold for the small treasures that link us to our collective past. And so next time you find a Washington quarter from 1973, take a closer look and remember the hands it passed through, the pockets it filled, and the stories it could still tell to those willing to listen. Thousands. This is the 1977 Washington quarter, a coin that defined an era and now defines value beyond face. In the late 1970s, the United States was navigating a shifting political and economic landscape. Inflation was rising, the Vietnam War had recently ended, and the country was adjusting to post-Watergate America. Amidst all of this, the United States Mint continued its routine production of coinage, including the Washington quarter, a series that had been running since 1932, when it was originally introduced to honor the 200th birthday of George Washington, the first president of the United States. The 1977 Washington quarter is struck in a copper-nickel clad composition, the outer layers made of 75% copper and 25% nickel bonded to a core of pure copper. This composition was adopted in 1965 as the U.S. Mint moved away from silver coinage due to the rising costs of silver and increasing demand for coinage. The quarter features a reeded edge, weighs 5.67 grams, and has a diameter of 24.3 millimeters. Its obverse features the classic portrait of George Washington, designed by John Flanagan, a design that had already become a cornerstone of American coinage for more than 4 decades by 1977. The obverse bears the word Liberty above Washington's head, with the motto, "In God We Trust," to the left, and the date 1977 placed beneath the bust. This date is of particular interest to numismatists, not only because it marks a transitional era in minting, but also because it is part of a narrow window in which certain mint errors and varieties emerged. The reverse of the coin continues the classic eagle design, also by Flanagan, showing a bald eagle with outstretched wings, clutching a bundle of arrows beneath which lies an olive branch. This symbolism emphasizes both strength and peace at a time when the nation was still recovering from war and societal unrest. In 1977, the Washington quarter was minted at 3 U.S. mint facilities: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The coins from Philadelphia bear no mint mark. The Denver coins are marked with a D, and the San Francisco coins particularly, the proof issues are marked with an S proof. Coins are struck with specially prepared dies and planchets, and exhibit a mirror-like finish with frosted details. The 1977 S proof quarter is a collector favorite due to its sharp appearance and limited mintage. The Philadelphia Mint struck over 468 million quarters in 1977, the Denver Mint produced more than 256 million, and the San Francisco Mint struck over 3.25 million proof coins. The sheer volume of production makes finding common circulated specimens easy, but among these high numbers lie hidden gems. Certain coins display mint errors that dramatically increase their value and demand. Popular 1977 quarter errors include off-center strikes, where the design is misaligned due to improper feeding of the planchet into the press. Some coins show die cracks or cuds, which are the result of damage or deterioration of the dies used to strike the coins. Doubling is also a sought-after error, where parts of the design appear to be doubled due to a misalignment in the hubbing process. The most famous doubled dies in U.S. coinage often command high premiums, and collectors continuously search for new discoveries from any year, including 1977. The condition of the coin significantly impacts its value. Quarters that are uncirculated or graded mint state by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC often sell for higher prices. MS 65 or higher grades are considered premium and rare, especially with a strong strike, full details, and minimal marks from handling a coin. In MS 67 or higher condition from 1977 is extremely scarce due to the mass production and rough handling in mint bags and during transportation. Full strike coins, especially those with fully defined eagle feathers on the reverse and bold Washington features on the obverse, are highly sought after. Full steps in Jefferson nickels are a similar concept, but with quarters, collectors look for full details in the eagle's wings and the hairlines on Washington's portrait. A small number of 1977 quarters have surfaced, with broad strikes missing edge reading or struck on incorrect planchets. These errors are often caused by mechanical failures or planchet errors during the minting process. For instance, a 1977 quarter struck on a dime planchet would be underweight and smaller than normal. Such mistakes are usually caught, but a few escape into circulation and become numismatic treasures. San Francisco proof coins from 1977 often come in proof sets sold by the mint. These sets included one coin of each denomination, from the cent to the dollar. The 1977 proof quarter is prized not only for its appearance, but also for its role in completing date runs for Washington quarter collectors, since proof coins are not meant for circulation. Finding one in the wild is nearly impossible unless broken from a set. Collectors often categorize Washington quarters into pre-silver 1932 to 1964 and clad 1965 to present the 1977 quarter belongs to the clad era, but it still holds significant value due to its age, error, potential, and historical placement during the Cold War period. In numismatic circles, building a complete clad Washington quarter set, including varieties and high-grade examples, is a challenging pursuit, and the 1977 issue plays a critical role in that journey. Many coin rolls from 1977 still remain unopened, especially in bank vaults or private holdings. Collectors often buy sealed rolls in hopes of cherry-picking error coins or high-grade examples. Some hobbyists specialize in roll searching, a practice that involves opening original bank-wrapped rolls to find hidden gems and uncirculated pieces. The coin market often experiences spikes in demand, driven by silver prices, collector interest, and media exposure. While the 1977 quarter does not contain silver, it has experienced periodic jumps in collector interest, especially when featured in major auction sales or numismatic publications. Coins that receive high grades from top services with designations such as plus or star often set new price records at auction. Beyond errors and condition, another aspect that draws attention to the 1977 quarter is its cultural context. It was minted during the presidency of Jimmy Carter in a post-Vietnam, post-Nixon America. Economic uncertainty and inflation had started to shape public policy, and even coin design and production decisions were influenced by broader economic factors. The copper-nickel clad coins, like the 1977 quarter, were part of a long-term response to the coin shortages and silver price hikes of the 1960s. The Washington quarter was never intended to become a permanent circulating coin. In 1932, it was meant as a commemorative release, but due to the coin's popularity, it replaced the standing Liberty quarter permanently. The 1977 issue is therefore part of a long lineage of circulating coinage that began as a tribute and evolved into a fixture of American commerce. For collectors, the thrill lies not just in finding a rare 1977 quarter, but in understanding the forces that shaped it. The design choices, the minting process, the public response, the economic backdrop, and the artistic decisions of the mint engravers. Each 1977 quarter carries with it a piece of American story, frozen in metal, struck in high-speed presses, handled by millions, and yet capable of becoming a treasure in the right condition or with the right anomaly. By diving into the mint records, auction sales, collector guides, interviews with grading experts, and even treasure hunts at garage sales and coin shows, the 1977 Washington quarter becomes far more than 25 cents. It becomes a time capsule of American life, a mirror of technological precision and human error, a relic that proves even in an age of mass production, rarity can still be found. This is the story of the 1977 Washington quarter, a simple coin turned legend for those who know most people never knew even happened. The story of the 1982 Washington quarter begins in the shadows of recession, a struggling economy, rising inflation, and a country trying to find its financial footing. As the United States moved through the early 1980s, the U.S. Mint was not only responsible for producing coinage, but also for adapting to drastic budget cuts, resource constraints, and a shifting public demand in circulation coins. The Washington quarter had already become a cornerstone of everyday commerce since its first release in 1932, created to honor the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. The quarter bore a proud patriotic image of the first U.S. president, sculpted by John Flanagan, whose design had stood the test of time for half a century. By 1982, the coin was already an American icon, but this year would stand out from the rest, not for its design, but for the chaos and complexity behind its production. In 1982, the U.S. Mint made a major change that would ripple through the coin collecting community for decades. It was the year they eliminated the production of mint sets, a decision influenced by cost-cutting measures and declining collector interest in government-issued sets. This meant that coins struck for circulation in 1982 had no official mint set versions, making high-quality uncirculated examples extremely difficult to find collectors who would usually depend on mint sets for. Pristine specimens were left to search bankrolls and pocket change. Adding to the scarcity was the issue of how the quarters were minted in both Philadelphia and Denver. Both mints produced coins that year, but the Philadelphia quarters bore no mint mark, as was the tradition, while the Denver quarters were marked with a D. These two versions, however, came with a major twist. The Denver mint had significant issues with die wear and polishing, which led to numerous varieties and anomalies. One of the most famous being the 1982 D quarter struck on a planchet intended for another denomination. This leads us into the infamous transitional error, where some 1982 quarters were accidentally struck on copper planchets instead of the expected copper-nickel clad composition due to leftover stock and transitional mishaps from previous years. These error coins are rare and extremely valuable, some even weighing differently than standard quarters, causing sharp-eyed collectors to test coin weights and metal content with precision tools. The numismatic community quickly realized that 1982 was not a normal year for Washington quarters between the missing mint sets, the unexpected variations, the die deterioration, and the lack of consistent striking quality. The 1982 Washington quarter became one of the most complex and mysterious modern coins produced in the United States. Every coin had to be examined closely, every detail inspected, because each one could be unique in its own way. For a coin that was supposed to be a routine issue used in parking meters, vending machines, and lunch counters across America, it had instead become a puzzle, a challenge, and a potential gold mine for collectors. From doubled dies to off-center strikes to weak D. Mint marks, the 1982 quarter, gave rise to hundreds of varieties cataloged by experts and still being discovered by sharp-eyed hunters today. The economy of 1982 adds another layer to this coin's tale. America was still climbing out of the 1980 recession. Unemployment was high, inflation was persistent, and confidence in paper currency and financial institutions was shaky. People were spending coins, not collecting them. The average American was not focused on mint marks or planchet composition. They were focused on gas prices, food costs, and job security, which made the survival of high-quality quarters even rarer. Coin dealers in the early 80s were not anticipating how significant the 1982 quarters would become without mint sets. The only way to obtain these coins was in circulation, and even those often showed signs of wear from daily use. Decades later, these coins in mint state command high premiums, with some MS-67 examples selling for hundreds to thousands of dollars at auction due to their scarcity and condition sensitivity. But beyond the numbers and the collector market lies a deeper historical value. The 1982 Washington quarter stands as a symbol of how small changes in minting policy, economic factors, and human oversight can turn an ordinary coin into a rare treasure. It reflects the real-life impact of federal policy on numismatic production. It teaches us that sometimes what is missing, like a canceled mint set or a missing mint mark, tells a more powerful story than what is present. This was also a year where private third-party grading services began to gain traction as collectors sought ways to preserve and certify coins of increasing value and subtle variation. PCGS and NGC became vital to the coin industry, and their population reports on 1982 quarters today show just how rare high-quality examples are compared to other modern coins. The 1982 quarter is an outlier, a survivor of minting austerity, and a relic of a changing time. Many collectors are still unaware of just how much historical weight the 1982 quarter carries. They see a coin that looks like every other Washington quarter they've ever spent. But if they knew the backstory, the abrupt mint set cancellation, the flood of errors, the pressure of recession-era production, the undervalued importance of that year's mintage, they would see not just a coin, but a chapter in American economic and minting history. The Denver and Philadelphia mints each had their own unique challenges in 1982. The Philadelphia Mint was struggling with coin press maintenance and labor, shortages resulting in weak strikes, inconsistent rim definitions, and incomplete design details. Many Philadelphia quarters from that year appear flat or soft in their features, especially around the hair and eagle feathers, making strong strikes highly collectible. The Denver Mint, on the other hand, faced rapid die erosion and the repeated use of aging equipment, which led to some of the most dramatic die cracks, die clashes, and repunched mint marks seen in a modern quarter series. Both mints were pushing production to meet circulation demands while cutting costs wherever possible, which meant quality control was not always top priority. As a result of this rush, numerous dramatic error coins entered the market, including broad-struck examples, off-metal planche strikes, and partial collar strikes, many of which command huge prices among error coin specialists today. Some of the most valuable 1982 error quarters have fetched over $10,000 depending on rarity and condition. Collectors often refer to the 1982 quarter as a sleeper coin, a piece that for years flew under the radar only later to be recognized for its rarity and complexity. It has become a key date for modern quarter collectors and a must-have for anyone building a full Washington quarter collection from 1932 to present, because missing the 1982 would leave a gaping hole in the historical narrative of the series. This coin also had an unexpected impact on the metal composition awareness among the public. With transitional errors popping up, more people began using precise weight scales and magnets to detect what kind of metal a coin might be made from. The average person became a metal analyst in their own right, thanks to coins like the 1982 quarter. As time went on and more coin roll hunters shared their finds online through forums, videos, and coin groups, the legend of the 1982 quarter grew exponentially. Today, its reputation is solidified as one of the most essential modern coins to examine. Every single 1982 quarter you come across could be worth a fortune if it shows the right anomaly or condition. The 1982 Washington quarter is more than just money. It is history forged in copper, nickel, and controversy. It is a story of transition, recession, minting experimentation, and collector revelation. It proves that in the world of coins, rarity is not always born from low mintage. Sometimes it is born from forgotten decisions, overlooked policies, and unnoticed errors, and those are the coins that truly tell the hidden stories of America. And that is why every collector, every coin enthusiast, and every student of American history must pay attention to the 1982 Washington quarter, because in your change jar, purse, or coin roll, there could be a piece of minting history waiting to be discovered.